Building tanks out of tiles, here's a look at the forever clever G.I. Joe construction set, Cobra Hiss. Now, as you can see, I've already taken the time and put together and built the Hiss tank. Some longer time also was required to put together this vehicle. Unlike the other vehicles we've already looked at that were kind of more considered the basic class, those were about 40 to 50 pieces. The Hiss tank here, though, is 100 pieces, so it did take a little bit longer to build. Of course, to help along the ways of your build, you get yourself an instruction sheet. Again, it's a sheet, but at least it's double-sided. The instructions, I will say to its credit, are pretty straightforward. Unfortunately, though, the one thing it leaves off is where to put the stickers. So you will have to reference the box to decide where those stickers are supposed to go. Like, there's no place on here. Pay close attention to this section right here of the instructions. We'll talk more about how that's a problem on the Hiss tank, so stay tuned for that. Again, like I said, you get yourself the instruction sheet. You also get yourself some stickers. Short of one sticker that's still left behind, I managed to apply all the stickers onto the Hiss tank, and I did have to reference the front of the box because, unfortunately, like I said, the instructions don't give you any indication of where those stickers are supposed to go. I've still got one. I'm not really even sure if I want to waste it on the Hiss tank. That's pretty bad when we already start saying that. I may use it for something else. I don't know. So let's go ahead and move those out of the way. And let's have a look at the included driver. First of all, it's a bit strange that they didn't get the traditional red costumed driver. You know, the guy that's always driving around the Hiss tank when he goes up to get his uniform for the first time and they give him the red outfit. It pretty much dictates exactly right away what he's going to be doing for the rest of his life in Cobra. Oh, I'm driving around a Hiss tank. Strange really, the fact that they didn't include that particular driver. Instead, we sort of get just a very generic Cobra Trooper, dressed, yes, in black, but still very generic. To give you guys a couple of comparisons, we can bring in his leader, his boss, the guy that signs his paycheck. I'm assuming he signs the paycheck. There he is next to Cobra Commander. I mean, again, like, the figures aren't terrible. The quality of plastic is somewhat debatable, but overall, they're not bad little figurines. We can also do the comparisons with Storm Shadow. Somebody just yelled, no, that's Firefly. No, it's Storm Shadow. I don't get it either. And here he is next to Snake Eyes. So again, they're all standard figures. The only problem with this particular driver is as I stick my hand out, I'm not looking for a tip. You can see that his hand falls straight out. Somebody's yelling at the back of the crowd, well, why don't you just put the hand in a little bit more? Well, I did that. Oh, believe you me, sir, with the outrageous mustache, I did try to get that in there. As much as I think I get it into the open socket, I tip the figure forward again, and his hand falls straight out. I don't know why there's a specific problem with him holding his hand, but it's an issue. It's an issue. Believe you me, the issues don't just start and stop with this rather obscure Cobra driver for the Hiss tank. The Hiss tank as a whole is rather plagued with problems. We're going to put the pilot down, the driver, right there for a second. And let's go ahead. Actually, you know what we'll do? We'll do this. We'll move over the Hiss tank very carefully because I know it's just going to fall apart on me. We'll just move the pilot, the driver out of the way. And let's bring in some of the other Cobra vehicles that we've had a look at. There, it's next to the Cobra Ferrets. And a rather, again, inferior-looking Fang. Somebody's probably also asking to see what it looks like with the Snake Eyes motorcycle. Yeah, we can do that, too. Is it even going to stand up? It's not even going to stand up. I'm going to try to balance it. Oh, who am I kidding? So these are the vehicles that we have built thus far. And I will say, in every single circumstance, there has been problems putting these vehicles together. Oh, dare say there's something wrong with the Hiss? I dare say there's something wrong with the Hiss. Let's go ahead and move these out of the way. Of course, it being a 100-piece build set, it's going to be a little bit more also expensive than the regular sets that we've looked at so far. He just dropped his... Notice his hand is just wandering, just left on the ground by itself. Okay, so let's have a look at the Hiss tank. As it looking like a Hiss tank, I think it does the job pretty okay. pretty okay. We're going to go ahead and pick this up very carefully. You'll see right away that there are some problems with the bricks not staying properly together. Well, I did that intentionally, and there's a reason for it. One thing, as a positive thing at least, is it does have working treads, so you can rotate these. The problem with it, though, is that these wheels barely attach to the pegs, so as you're rotating it, you may find these falling right off. So don't apply too much pressure. Don't really apply too much pressure really on anything on the HISS tank. As you can see, I've already taken the liberty of adding the stickers. Some of the stickers have overlapped. I'm going to have to see if I can fix those. Again, you got the 788 on the top, the Cobra logo on the back. It's supposed to go there, and yet it's not quite the right size. Sort of sticks up on the corner there. I've also applied the Cobra logo up at the top there by the gun turret, and have rinsed and repeated the same steps on the other side as well. A couple of things I could talk about already. I had a few missing pieces. You can see there's a flush flat piece right at the bottom corner. Spin around to the other side delicately. You can see on the other side I don't have that piece. It never got included. Something also rather interesting that happened. You can see the front of the grill here. See how it's flat on the one side? And yet, as I spin this around, you can see right there. No, a werewolf has not attacked and tried to take a big bite out of it. It almost looks like it's been burned. I assure you that that's the way it came out of the packaging. I was looking around for the pieces. I couldn't find this specific piece. I said, well, I've got this 3-piece, because again, instead of having 4, it's got kind of 3.5. Lo and behold, realized later that that's the piece that I needed. I don't know what's happened to it, why it had to come off the assembly line looking like this, but that already was a big strike going for it. Another strike, oh boy, there's going to be a whole bunch of these. We can rotate the turrets. These turrets barely stay in place. These are probably going to be falling off at some point. You can open up the cockpit. Aha! You can open up the cockpit, and presumably, you should be able to fit the driver inside, right? Right? Well, we can bring his arms forward. Let's flatten his feet as best as we can get it. He's supposed to, in theory, be able to fit inside here, but he does not. That guy with the mustache again is yelling, well, why don't you actually try to put him further down in there? Well, you really can't. His arms are going to get in the way of things, and from there, yes, you can't close up the canopy. Isn't this a flaw that we should have looked at before we started mass producing these sets? This does at least open and close, so that's a nice touch, but you're pretty much going to have to display the Cobra driver standing next to the HISS tank that he's unable to sit inside of. Anyways, we can close this up. The gun turret, as you can see, does rotate all the way around, so that's a nice touch. I mean, I would think of all the vehicles that we've done so far, and I'm not sure if I really want to push forward with this suffering, I think the HISS tank looks probably the most accurate to its original source material. The ferret wasn't bad. If the fang actually stayed together, the fang actually wasn't that bad either, I guess, really. But the HISS tank, I think, is the closest in proximity. Here is where the biggest problem I have with this, and it has something to do with the fact that you can see that the pieces aren't sitting properly inside. I'm going to go ahead and remove this. And while I am removing it, I'm also going to be removing some of the pieces that go along with it as well. Attaching these in place, first of all, they don't stay very well together at all. The pieces, of like the other ones we've looked at before, the pieces sort of just barely stay together. I wanted to double check and make sure that I didn't build this incorrectly. I don't know if you can actually see it or not. But where you're supposed to place these, you place them with them sitting basically on only a single peg. Can you see that? Let's get the camera in there. There we go. Maybe that's a little bit better. There is a gap right underneath this. So it only attaches here. You've got an overhang here, and you've got an overhang on the inside. And there is no other pieces that were supposed to go underneath this. Not that I could see, at least, because I ran out of pieces. So you basically just ledge these onto the sides of the vehicle. Oh, you can see where this is going to be going. So then imagine, if you will, we're going to go ahead and take this. And presumably the idea of this, did I have this facing the, no, I had this facing the wrong way. So the idea is that you're supposed to, per the instructions, you're supposed to put all these pieces down first, right? And we already know that there's a ledge hanging down. So then the next step is you're supposed to then take the gun turret, which is a flat piece, and you're supposed to push it down Supposed to push it down onto those pieces. Every single time I tried doing this, those sides would buckle inward because there was nothing really holding them in place. There wasn't anything stabilizing them on the inside of it. So, of course, if you put any pressure down on it, this whole part just collapses on itself. So, for the time being, what I've ended up just doing is I've attached all the pieces to the bottom of it, and I've sort of just got it resting on top. Because, again, any little bit of pressure, you're going to be buckling the sides inward. I certainly would have been fine to spend the extra dollars if it meant that they could have actually put a couple of extra brick pieces on the inside. So I'm probably now going to have to go through my trunk of different other build set Lego pieces. Oh, I just said Lego. Take other bricks and reinforce the inside. That shouldn't be something I would have to need to do. I mean, that should have already been the case as soon as you get this set. They should have already reinforced the pieces on the inside, but they didn't. I don't know if it was just a case of cost-saving measures, but just a single, what, it'd been 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, you would have needed longer than that. Probably, I guess, a 10 long brick. If you ran it just underneath it as a support, then yes, by all means, you could have easily attached this to the top, pushed it down, and secured it in place. As it stands right now, I'm not going to do that because I know the moment I do, as I've done before trying to build this thing, so as I pushed down on it, the whole thing fell apart on me. And of course, the icing on the cake is the fact that we've got a Cobra pilot, not even the right colors for being a driver of a Cobra Hiss, but also the fact that he doesn't even hold his hand properly. The hand doesn't stay inside. There is a lot of problems. And I hate to say, it's not just contained to the Hiss. As you probably have already seen, with already now 3 reviews down of these build lines, these construction G.I. Joe sets, there seems to be a problem across the board with quality, the bricks not staying together, and overall the pieces just feeling super fragile when you complete them. Well, why don't you tell us what you really think of these sets? Pretty sure I have now 4 of these G.I. Joe construction sets in. I'm honestly not sure if I want to continue buying any more of these. If it doesn't mean maybe then I'm going to have to build these sets and then have to find additional pieces in my other company's brick building sets, maybe I'm going to have to use that and reinforce some of these pieces. But I don't know. As an entryway into this, if you're just getting these directly out of the box and you're putting them together, none of the sets seem to stay together. None of the sets feel like they're sturdy and durable. They just feel flimsy, fragile, and it's almost like the bricks just never attach properly to themselves. And of course, when you have problems like a figure not being able to properly hold his hand, I think there's some serious issues when it comes to these G.I. Joe construction sets. I tried to go in with such an unbiased opinion, but really the idea of getting G.I. Joe as brick building sets was interesting to me. I mean, the idea, I would even have gone in and wanted to buy multiples of these, maybe get a whole fleet of Hiss tanks. If I had this much problem with one Hiss tank, I don't know if I want to go through the arduous task of having to do that multiple times and having each one of my Hiss tanks falling apart the moment I tried touching them, and the fact that they wouldn't even hold the pilots inside. I mean, I think that's a big problem. Have you picked up any of these sets for yourself? If you have, let me know down below in the comments section if you've had any of the similar issues as I have, or am I just lucky? Am I having a struggle with these sets? Maybe other people have had more success with them, but if you certainly have picked up any of these, please put my mind at ease. Let me know if you've also had similar issues with these. If you guys are also new to this channel, enjoying all the content you're seeing, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below and turn the bell notification on. Be sure as well that you're keeping your peepers peeled to this channel, because there will be more videos coming your way, although I don't know if I'm going to be doing any more G.I. Joe construction sets. Something's going to have to come along and really wow me, because so far, I have not been very wowed. Lots of stuff coming your way, guys, like I said, so as always, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.